Hi guys, what's up? Welcome to the lesson number 10. Actually, today we are getting started on the modeling part, and I think this is the most exciting part of this tutorial. So let's get started. The object we are going to model today is this table. Okay, it's a pretty simple table. And I'm getting it from macgeek.com. Okay, so we have really good reference here, like it's quite a high resolution reference, so it's a good website for you guys as well to look for our models to model. We have the dimensions here as well. We are going to follow it very precisely. And yeah, I think that's it. So let's get started and let's jump into Blender and see how it works. Okay, so I have already downloaded all these assets, and I'm going to delete all these objects inside Blender. We are starting from scratch. Okay, so I will drag and drop my main reference, that is this one. Okay, and the first thing I think we have to do is to adjust the scale of this reference. Okay, so to do that, we are going to create a cube and put the same dimensions we have on the MacGeek website in this cube. Okay, so first let's go to this scene properties and go to units. I'm using here metric for my main unit system. You can use Imperial if you are, in Europe or United States, that you need to use, maybe inches, or I don't know. So we are going to use centimeters. Okay, so you can change, doesn't matter which unit you're using. Okay, but you can choose the best one for you. Okay. So let's put the dimensions, right? So let me see, what are the dimensions? So 36, 36, 17. Okay, so for the x-axis, we are going to put 36 inches, and the y-axis 36 inches as well. So as you can see, it already converts to centimeters. So, and this one is 17 inches. That is about 43 centimeters. Okay, so as you can see here, our reference image is too big. So we have to decrease our reference image to the size of this cube. So because we are going to model, we're going to model our model using this reference. So we are going to model on it. Okay. So just like use the shortcut G to move the reference. Just click and G for movement, S for scale, start scaling a bit. Try to put it in the center of this cube, and trying to be the most accurate possible in this step. Okay, it's important. Also, we can always, when you finish the model, adjust it. It's not a problem at all, but it's definitely something like good to do it at the beginning, and you won't have problems at the end. Okay, so as you can see, we don't have the exact position and the dimension. It doesn't fit the cube because the camera that took this picture was angled, so was a little bit pointing down, so we don't have like this exactly front orthographic view. So it will always be like that. We have to try to fit it using the highest dimension of this reference, that is the top of this table. Okay. Okay, so let's think about this table as a geometry. So what we have here, we have a cylinder in this bottom part. In this middle part, we have kind of another cylinder, and in the top part we have another cylinder. It's a small one, but it is a cylinder. So we can use 3 cylinders to model this object, okay? But actually we are going to use 2 cylinders. We are going to use the bottom part and the top part, okay? So to do that, let's create a cylinder and Shift A, of course, as we learned. I will scale it down to fit this bottom part of my table. So try to place it in the middle of the reference. It's very important, like, to keep it centered, right, aligned, and it will help us on the modeling process. So as we are drawing on, like, on this reference, it's important we try to be very accurate, okay? So I will go to the edit mode and I will select this top part, this upper part over here, and I will bring it down to, as you can see here, okay, it's working. So I'll bring it down to this upper, I think this first upper part here, okay. This part as well, I will bring it to something like this, okay. Again, we are modeling on a perspective reference. We are now on the orthographic view, orthographic view actually. So it's important that you know that it's quite impossible. We have, I will actually hide this object here, just to, I think it's not important. The shortcut to hide is H, okay. So as I was saying, it's important to know that we never have an orthographic reference because the camera can't have can shoot an orthographic view, okay, orthographic view. So I'm going to select this upper face and I will press I to inset it. Okay, so something like this. And I will move it up. Move it upwards. Something like this. And to try to be more accurate, I'm going to move upward this entire object. So then after that we can get back to the original point. But for now, just to model this part, I think it's important. Okay, as you can see here, as I'm not on the wireframe mode, when I select this face, these vertices, it didn't select all the vertices because it only select what you are seeing. If you want to select the entire vertices on your front and your back, you have to activate, you have to toggle the X-ray, that button over there. Okay, so now if you try to select what you're seeing, you can select everything, okay? So the next shortcut is E, so E to extrude. Okay, so I will extrude and scale it down a little bit, and with the shortcut G, we are going to move it to the right position, E to extrude again, and E to extrude again, and S, oops, another E, let me try again. E to extrude, something like this, S to scale it down, E to extrude again, and let's scale it up a little bit. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so this part over here, if you press Shift Alt and click, you can select the entire ring, and then, oops, let me deselect this upper edges and only these ones, and I will bring it down a little bit. Okay, something like this. Okay, so I think we have the shape. Let me bring it back to the original point that is somewhere over here, and let's create the other cylinder, this upper part of the table. Okay, so let's create another cylinder, scale it down, and you can scale it to match the same size of the upper part. Okay, so add to mode, and I will select only the upper vertices, bring it something like this. Now I select the bottom vertices and bring it up a little bit to try to like make this first big edge we have on the table, around the table. So yeah, let's switch to face mode and let's make an inset in this bottom part to create this other big edge we have on the bottom of this top part. Okay, so yeah, something like this, and let's do the same for the upper part. Let's inset it, pressing I. Sometimes if you press I, you are like too close to the center. You have like to try to move very close to the center, otherwise you can inset it. Okay, so something like this, and let's this is just to create this edge around the table, and let's inset again to bring it down a little bit. Okay, so something like this, and let's just like bring it down to create this nice curve around the edge. Let's scale it up a little bit, and yeah, something like this. Very nice. And yeah, we have probably have completed the task. Actually, as you can see here, I have like to bring it down because we created it too high. So let's take a look on our original box that has the right dimension. So probably this table is a little small. We have like to scale it up. So I will bring this upper part to the top, and this bottom part to the bottom. Okay, so let me adjust it. So let's go to the edit mode. I will select these vertices, and I will increase a little bit, something like this, and these vertices I will select it and increase a little bit as well. So I will add another extrude to fill this gap over here, and yeah, here we go. So let me take a look. Hide this object, pressing H, and yeah, looks very nice. Now I think we have completed the task. So we still have to make we have to refine the object, right? So it's completely a low poly object, so we need to bring details to it, right? So it's too low poly. We can't like send it to the client. It needs to be real, right? And of course, low poly models are also used to decrease render times. So probably you can still work with it, making some adjustments, add another, I don't know, another loop here, loop there, and try to refine a little bit more. But I know that, for example, if you work for, I don't know, games, probably you have to use a very low poly model. Of course, you have to make some, I don't know, maybe normal painting, I don't know, diffuse painting, like apply textures. But I think this is the only, I think, way to use it. Otherwise, like for ArcViz, it's quite impossible to use this kind of text, this kind of model. Okay. So here, for example, if you apply like a shade smooth, pressing right click, you can see that we can quite like remove this quad faces around the object. Yeah, but we are not going to use it right now. Actually, we are going to apply a modifier called subdivision, I think, subdivision modifier. So let's apply a modifier, subdivision modifier, this one. And as you can see here, we have to make some work to get it done. And this work is basically add loops on the edges, on the faces. Okay, so we have to fix the edges in order to get a sharper edge. Okay, so here, for example, I will select this bottom face and I will apply an inset. And I will apply another one and bring it to something like here. Okay, so as you can see here, we have right now a very sharp edge happening. Okay, so I will add another add loop. So now I will press Ctrl R and I will bring this edge on the top and on the bottom. So now we are refine the object. Now we are having this very sharp edge. So, and that's what we want. So the same thing we are going to do on this upper face, upper part. So let me just disable the upper top, the upper part. So, and I will apply an inset to this part as well, and another inset, bring it to quite to the middle, and I think that's it. Okay, so now right click and shade smooth, and as you can see here, we are very close. Actually, the reference on this this cylinder on the bottom, we have like a much more sharpened edge going on over here. Can you see? So how we do that? We have to bring these secondary edges that we just added. I will press Shift Alt click and bring it to close to the main edge that is this in the middle. And these ones I will add another add loop here and bring it to very close to the main edge. So as you can see here, we are refining it and bringing this sharp edge to the object. So Shift Alt click and bring it close to the main edge. And as you can see here, now we have a very defined edge happening over here. So if you increase here the level of this geometry, as you can see, if you decrease it, we lose the details, and if you increase it, now as you can see here, we have a really nice edge happening. So let's do the same thing on this top part. Okay, so let's start adding some edges. So before, let me apply the subdivision surface. As you can see, you have the same problem, so we have to start adding edges. So let's go to the object mode, the edit mode, and now I'll start maybe, I think. Okay, so let's switch to the face mode. Select this upper face over here, click on this button over here to deactivate for now the subdivision so you can see what we are selecting. Add an inset pressing I, so something close to the main edge. Okay, and create another one and bring it to the center, something like this. Okay. So now turn on the visibility of your modifier. As you can see, now we are having much more defined geometry. So I will keep adding loop cuts here. So the shortcuts Ctrl R, and I will add 2 here as well. One close to this edge and another one close to this edge over here. Okay, so something like this, and I will add another edge here and another edge here. So as you can see here, now we are very close to the reference. So let me add another edge close to this one and another one close to this one. And here on the bottom, let me switch to face mode and let's add an inset, something like this, and another one to the center. Yeah, perfect. So just turn on the visibility and right click to activate Shade Smooth. And as you can see here, we have our table done. Very nice, guys. So one thing to keep in mind, we have several ways to create models in Blender or in any kind of software. Okay, this is one way. Okay, so you can create the same table, for example, using curves. So just like drawing around the reference, and yeah, probably it'll be easier to do this model using curves. Easier, and probably this model, I think it's a little heavy because we applied this subdivision modifier. Maybe we could use it in a low poly way and apply just bevels around the edges. So as I said, there are several ways to model things, and you have to understand all these ways, because when you receive the job, you have to analyze your object, you have to analyze your task and see what's the best way to do that. Okay, so in the next lessons we are going to see how to model this table over here. It's a very simple one, and this one as well. Okay, so this is the last object. So I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you like, please subscribe to my channel and leave your like. Thank you very much, guys. See you in the next video.